uh, how important it is to address the stigma associated with mental health, and how education is the only means. I completely agree that education and talking about this, how it's the most important thing to deal with this, considering that how changes have been happening in our lives with the COVID, with other issues, and then because of this, there's a kind of accelerated, problems of mental health that have come to the fore. And the first step to address this is to talk about it and then let go of the stigma and taboo that is associated with it. Thank you so much, Dr. Shazia. So before we move on to our other speakers, I think we could just have a question answer round with Dr. Kinger. I'm sure a lot of people will have questions to ask him because he'll have to then leave for his other appointments. So could I open the floor to question answers? Anybody who has question can raise your hand or you can write it in the chat. And those questions will be addressed.
Hi, Noor.
So Nasya has raised her hand. Could you please, Shahjan, unmute her?
Yes, I did.
Nasya, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Shahjan, hi everybody. Sorry for the interruption.
Hello.
Dharna, I would just like to that before we move on to the question and answer statement, Mr. Kinger had to leave for an emergency, a hospital emergency. So I will be addressing the questions on his behalf. My name is Divya Mirani. I am a psychologist associated to Talk To Me NGO. He sincerely apologizes for the disruption, but he got a hospital call and he had to leave for the emergency. I hope that is okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, no,
that's good.
Okay.
I think no one is.
Thank you. As you said, anxiety is like protective value. As we know, in protection, we usually flight. That is fear, I think. As we know, fear is flight from dangerous situation in order to self-protection, whether the situation is harmful or helpful for a human being. So in nutshell, during anxiety, we flight, we go away for protection. On the other hand, there is another thing, that is overthinking. Overthinking is another mental health disorder, but here we stay, we keep thinking, we don't flight, we don't go away here. In overthinking, we stay, we don't go away. But in anxiety, we flight, as you said, we go away for self-protection. Can you please make me understand the concept of staying and going away? Should I go away or stay during mental health disorder? This is my question.
As you rightly said that, there are different reactions whenever a person is in a fearful situation or whenever a person is anxious. What we suggest is that for you, before you take any reaction or before you take any action, just take a moment to understand and see what it is that is happening. So when you say that, there's a flight or flight response that is happening, it is your body's first reaction to, save yourself. So irrespective of whatever mental health concerns that are there, just taking one moment to be mindful about what it is that our thoughts are and in what direction are they going will help us understand as to in what direction should we, look out for help. For example, let's say if you are becoming anxious about a thing, there's a simple technique called as grounding technique that helps you calm down, and that helps you, take a moment to yourself, bring yourself back to the present, and then formulate a response as to what is the next step that you are going to do. So a grounding technique is a useful way to, help you being present in the situation. Does that answer your question?
Sorry. Ma'am, as you said, anxiety is like a protective value. As we know, in protection, we usually flight, we go away. That is like a fear. In fear, it's a flight. As we know, the most accepted definition of fear is flight from a dangerous situation or the
Right.
self-protection. Anxiety is like if someone is in an anxiety, that is for the self-protection, as you said. But on the other hand, overthinking is something another mental disorder. But here we stay, we don't go away. We keep thinking the things. We don't flight here. We don't go away here. In overthinking, we stay. We don't go away. But in anxiety, we flight. We go away for self-protection. My question was, can you please make me understand the concept of staying and going away? Why in anxiety we stay? Why in anxiety we go away? Why in overthinking we stay? Should I go away or stay during mental health disorder? So if you could please,
So,
yeah,
right.
please.
So there is nothing called as, going away or staying in a mental health disorder. Overthinking is a loop which is a part of our anxious thoughts. When we say that we are anxious about something, it is again the what ifs that are playing on in our mind. That what if this does not happen? What if this happens this way? What will I do? And this loop itself, it goes leads us to overthinking. So it's not about going away, and it's not about, staying. It is taking a moment to bring yourself back to the present in the situation where you are in. And as I said, the grounding technique is one of those techniques that helps us come back to the present. Once we take a moment to understand that, okay, this is exactly where we are right now, after that we will be able to, decide what is the next step. In any mental health disorder, there is no such thing as, going away or staying. We find out ways, we find out coping mechanisms that help us deal in a healthy manner. So the grounding technique is one such technique. It's the most basic way of practicing the technique is that bringing yourself back to the present by looking at 5 things that are around you and naming them, listening to 4 sounds that you can hear, feeling 3 things that are around you, tasting 2 different things that you can feel, and naming one of the smells that is present around you. What will happen is that when your mind is in a loop of either, fighting away or flying away from the response, or if your mind is in a continuous loop ki abhi main kya karu, this technique will help you calm down, take a breather, and it will help you take a moment to actually see as to what the situation is.
Thank you so much, Divya.
Thank
I
you. Now
think
it's okay.
Rehana, please wait. So I have a question from the chat. It's from the Jamshid Abbas. So he's saying that if anyone is continuously overthinking and wants to come back from the situation, so that he wants to become optimistic, what should he do to go not in the overthinking situation again?
Yes, I have also something to say about it. Is overthinking a habit? So to say, how to deal with overthinking? Why does someone overthink on petty issues? Please, will you please add it?
So, So overthinking is a part, it's a form of thinking style. So what happens is that, let's take the example, since we are talking about feeling anxious and since we are talking about anxiety. When a student is preparing for his or her exams, there are many scenarios that are going on in their mind. One such thing that they are not sure about, it gives them the access to go on a loop to overthinking. Some people have the tendency to overthink about it, whereas other people have different responses. So again, the first and the foremost step to handle our thoughts and to manage what it is, bring ourselves back in control of the situation, is take a moment and step aside from the place where you are in. So if, for example, let's say you are overthinking about exam, step aside for a moment from where you are studying or where you are preparing, take a breather, calm down, give yourself the self talk that it is okay, I can work on this situation, and then start working on it. Also, there is something called as thought log that we follow. A thought log is a worksheet that helps us understand as to what our negative thoughts are. Once we make a note of those thoughts, that is step one. Step two is to then see and imagine where it is where we are feeling it the most. In our body, where is the emotion that we are feeling the most. After step two, we look at our thoughts and we look at our emotions. The step three is to, rate them. Once we have given a rating from 0 to 10, 0 being the least and 10 being the most, we then go on to the fourth step, which is arguing with these thoughts and with these reactions. This will help us understand if what we are overthinking about, is it a rational thought, or is it something that facts are against for. कि अगर मैं बोल रही हूँ कि मैं फेल ही हो जाऊंगी, उसके फैक्ट्स क्या है. How is it that I know that I'm going to fail? If I know that I have taken, if I know that I have taken steps to study and if I'm preparing well for my exams, there it is where we'll find, कि हम जिस चीज पर overthink कर रहे थे, वो शायद irrational है. Those thoughts are irrational and maybe it is our own thinking fallacy that is acting up. Once we have facts to help us to and for understand about these irrational thoughts, we again go to step 5, think about the thought. Then we go on to step 6 and see if there is any other manner in which we could have reacted to the situation. And finally, step 8, we notice our emotions and we give the rating as our change in behaviors and change in emotions about that particular thought helped us calm down. So this is one tool which helps us with dealing with our overthinking patterns. My colleague Sonam is also here. Sonam, would you like to add anything?
Can
Yes.
I raise my question?
Yes, I just wanted to add on this pertaining to overthinking. There is one more technique that I would like to mention, and it is very quick. A quick activity that we can do is called the worry tree. So in worry tree, you just have to basically, the first step is that you write down the worry, what is bothering you. You write down what is the worry. The second step is ask yourself if you can do something about the worry. If you can do something about the worry, you have to go ahead and ask yourself, what can I do about the worry and when and where? So go get into the detailings of what you can do about the worry and do it and let the worry go. On the other hand, ask if you cannot do anything about your worry, you have to let the worry go. So end result is always going to be let the worry go. So ask yourself if you can do something about it. If yes, plan it and do it. If not, then let the worry go. We can have the next question.
Okay. My question is, how can we reduce anxiety attacks? Like I usually get anxiety attacks due to my overthinking nature. How can we reduce that or just fully eradicate anxiety attacks? How to reduce it?
Sonam, would you like to start?
Yeah. So again, we need to notice firstly whether the anxiety is specific or if it is generalized. If it is specific, then we need to get on to the root of it. If it's coming from, say, like how we mentioned even in the PPT, that it's okay to feel anxious. It's a natural defense. Like it's the body's automatic response of flight and fight or flight. So either we run away or we deal with the situation. So we need to understand first if it's specific. So if there is a trigger, if there is an exam which is coming and I have an exam 2 days later and I'm feeling anxious, it's absolutely normal. What I can do is to reduce the anxiety at that point of time is firstly talk about it, see what is bothering me, whether I don't have enough time, that fact is bothering me, or whether it's just my fear or insecurities that I will not be able to give my exams in the way that I want to. As you said, that because of overthinking, this anxiety attacks are coming. So firstly, understand what is it that is causing the anxiety. And secondly, as Mr. Kinger also shared, the breathing technique. There are a lot of breathing and relaxation techniques which are available on YouTube or online. If you go, there are different techniques. To name a few, box breathing is there, and the guided imagery is there. So just go on YouTube and just find those relaxation techniques. Progressive muscle relaxation techniques are there. So we need to get into the practice of doing it. So when you talk about reducing anxiety or eradicating it at all, we need to understand that it's not like a day's thing. It's not like a headache that you pop up a paracetamol and the headache will be gone. It's a process that we need to keep doing. So for example, if we are starting to do breathing exercises, we need to do those breathing exercises every day, irrespective of whether we are feeling anxious or not. Our body needs to associate anxiety to automatically go on to doing the breathing exercises. So there are a lot of coping mechanisms. My only tip would be to do it consistently, do it multiple times in a day, and see what exactly is you need to question your anxiety.
So just to add on to what Sonam said when she mentioned about the breathing techniques, one such technique is called as box breathing. The correct way of doing it would be to take deep inhalations for 4 counts, hold on for 2, and then again exhale for 4 counts. So let's say if you are practicing a breathing technique to calm yourself down whenever you are feeling anxious, we start with inhaling for 4 counts, then we hold our breath for 2, and then we exhale for 4 other counts. Slowly and steadily, once you get into the habit of following the breathing technique, you can then increase the counts. But this technique is one such way it helps us calm down in the moment, and it also helps us be around in the situation. Yoga and few other techniques like going on for exercising are also some tools which help with anxiety. Similarly, having smells around us which are calming, like lavender. That is also one of the smells that helps us calm down. Aromatherapy is something that a lot of people have found helpful to manage their feeling anxious with.
So my advice would be to try all of these things and take a call whether these things are actually helping you all manage the anxiety. If not, then please do not hesitate reaching out for professional help. They will have psychologists have proper tools to firstly determine the severity of your anxiety, and then uh, you know do like a custom made counseling for specific anxiety that you are facing. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
uh, just to add on to a question that I have received from someone. So the question is, so do we find solutions to mental health issues in physical and respiratory activities? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So when we talk about, finding solutions to our mental health difficulties in physical activities, both
Yeah.
our mental health and physical health are connected. There are some things which are part of our self-care and which help us, feel better, feel present in the situation, and they help us cope up in a healthy manner. So yes, it is helpful, but it is also important to understand and to determine that if at this moment you are not able to manage with the techniques that you have, do not hesitate to go out to a professional and seek help. Physical and respiratory activities help with mental health distresses as a self-care technique. We can move on to the next question.
Nasha, can you quote it?
Yeah, my question is, how can I help myself regulate my moods, feelings?
A lot of, in a lot of situations, we feel that our mood is changing, and oftentimes we don't understand as to where this reaction is coming from. There's something called as a mood calendar, which helps us regulate our mood. The most basic way of, following it would be to make a note of the situations where you feel that your mood is going on an extreme, and rate yourself from 0 to 10. If you feel that your reaction was extreme, make a note of it. And the next time that you are in a similar situation, just be conscious enough to see as to in which direction is your mood going. To help you build on with the habit of regulating your mood, there are a lot of applications which are available, which are called as mood trackers. They're available freely online. And something that is very basic right now is the plush toy that we have. It has two sides. One is with a smiley face and one is with a frowning face. So what you can do is, so that others are aware about what is going on, if you are feeling happy, you can keep your plush toy to the smiling face side. And if at all you feel that, okay, this situation is getting out of control, or maybe you are not feeling better, you can change it to the frowning side. This will help others understand you as to in what manner, if you need any help, in what manner can they help you. Sonam, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would like to add journaling. Please incorporate, try incorporating journaling in your day-to-day life. So journaling basically is, we've all have heard of maintaining diaries, and we've all done it in childhood where we used to maintain diaries and write everything. But I think a structured way of journaling would be more helpful. The structure goes like, first you need to just describe the event, what pertaining to mood swings, you can actually write what led to your mood to swing, what led to your mood to change from one to another. Write down the event in detail, then write down the thoughts that you were experiencing in that event, then come to the feelings of it, whether you were feeling sad, happy, whatever is the emotion. It could be it's not just happiness and sadness, there are many emotions which are there. You could write down the feelings. You could also tap onto the physical feelings, whether you were feeling nauseous, whether you were feeling like your head was paining, whether you were feeling butterflies in your stomach, whatever. So physical and emotional feelings. And then you have the third thing to note down is behavior. What did you do in that situation? So you need to write the event, thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And the last step is to write the alternative behavior. So what I could have done instead, how I would have looked at the situation the other way. So this will basically give you a lot of data to find out what are your triggers. If you do journaling every day, at the end of the week you can just go and see, you will find out what events have caused your mood to be sad or what events have caused your mood to be happy. So this could be a way also to track your mood.
There's one question that I have received, which says, how can a child or an adult cope with anxiety that is caused on by parents, and if what can they do if they are unable to express their feelings, or even if they express it they end up being nervous and crying. It is absolutely okay to feel nervous about a situation and to cry in a situation. When we cry, it is often seen as a way of catharsis. Whatever it is that we are unable to express in our words, our emotions our body releases those emotions as a way of crying. The other way would be to, even if you are expressing something to your parents and yet you feel that you are not able to connect them to, the other way would be is to express your needs in terms which are simple and to, bring them to a level in which they can relate more to. For example, if you say if you are being anxious about and your parents are not understanding where is the anxiety coming from or what it is that you are anxious about, it is absolutely okay to, share the instance with them that this exam or this particular situation is something that is making you anxious because maybe you are scared about what will happen if I do not get good marks, what will happen if I do not get into my college. Again, it is also important to understand that opening yourself up and making yourself vulnerable in that situation takes a lot of courage and takes a lot of mental preparation from your side. And if you need time to before reaching out to them, it is okay to take that time. It is
I
okay
think
if you feel more comfortable sharing about your or venting out your or your feelings